Okay, so let's dive in. The final showdown. Europe's biggest prize, the Champions League trophy.
Yeah, the one everyone wants.
It's Paris Saint-Germain facing Inter Milan.
Huge clash.
And we've pulled together, a whole stack of sources.
Right. Articles, interviews, plenty of stats analysis.
All about this massive match. So our mission really is to go through these sources with you.
Figure out what you need to know.
Exactly. It's the first time these two have ever met competitively.
Which is kind of amazing, isn't it?
Totally. It's a clash of styles, narratives, managers happening this Saturday, May 31st in Munich.
And yeah, looking through these sources, there's just so much to unpack. History, tactics.
Oh, for sure. So let's start with the basics. Where and when?
Okay, so the sources confirm Saturday, May 31st, 2025.
Right.
Allianz Arena in Munich.
Yeah.
Kickoff is 9:00 p.m. Central European Summertime.
Which, for listeners in the U.S., that's 3 p.m. Eastern, noon Pacific.
Got it. And like you said, it's fascinating. These giants have never played a proper competitive game.
Just those friendlies the sources mentioned.
Yeah, Inter 1-1, 2-1 back in Aug 2023, and there was a 1-1 draw in July 2019. But this is the real deal.
And Munich itself, there's a weird bit of history there the sources flagged.
Oh yeah, what's that?
Well, get this. The last 4 Champions League finals held in Munich, all won by first-time champions.
No way, who are we talking?
Nottingham Forest 79, Marseille 93, Dortmund 97, and Chelsea in 2012.
Wow. So if you're PSG, having never won it.
You're kind of liking that stat, right?
Definitely. And one source even pointed out that 93 final.
Marseille.
Yeah, Marseille, a French team against AC Milan. Marseille won it in their second final.
And now PSG, a French team in their second final against the other Milan team.
In Munich. It's quite the narrative hook, as you said.
Okay, so how did they get here? Let's look at PSG's journey. The sources say it wasn't exactly smooth sailing at the start.
No, not at all. They barely made it out of the group stage. It was pretty touch and go.
But then things changed.
Massively. The sources really stress how they grew into it, especially in the knockouts, knocking out 3 Premier League teams.
Villa, Liverpool, Arsenal.
Yeah, I mean, that's a serious gauntlet to run.
And the whole vibe around this PSG team feels different this year, doesn't it? The sources mention fewer, Galacticos.
Right. It's not built around those huge established names like maybe in the past. It's a younger squad, surprisingly so.
So there's that pressure, obviously, never having won it.
Huge pressure, but maybe also less expectation initially after that group stage. Perhaps a bit more freedom.
And potentially history on the line.
Oh, absolutely. First Champions League title is the main goal, but they've already bagged Ligue 1 and the Coupe de France.
So a treble, first ever for a French team.
If they win Saturday, yes. And it's their second final, remember. Lost to Bayern back in 2020.
Okay, turning to Inter. Their path wasn't exactly easy either.
No way. Sources point out they had to get past huge clubs too, like Bayern Munich and Barcelona.
Right. Now, domestically, the sources seem to have slightly different takes on their season.
Yeah, there's a bit of nuance. One source kind of frames this final as their only redemption because they just missed out on Serie A to Napoli and lost the Coppa Italia semi to AC Milan.
But another source notes Inzaghi has won trophies recently.
Exactly. He's won the Supercoppa Italiana and 2 Coppa Italias with Inter. So it's not like they're desperate for any silverware, but the Champions League is obviously the big one they missed out on last year.
Yeah, that recent final experience, 7th appearance overall, but losing just last year in 2023 to Man City, that must count for something.
Definitely. Even the pain of losing can be valuable experience for the next time.
Which brings us nicely to the managers. The sources set this up as a real clash of styles. Luis Enrique versus Simone Inzaghi.
Yeah, 2 different philosophies going head to head.
Luis Enrique, he's got the Champions League winners medal already, right?
Yep, won it with Barcelona, won league titles in Spain and France. He's aiming to join that elite group who've won it with 2 different clubs.
And the sources mention his previous win was against an Italian side 10 years ago. Interesting little note.
It is. He's known for this young, fluid, attacking team at PSG. Sources praise his man management too, mentioning Dembélé specifically.
And Inzaghi, younger guy, 49. How did the sources describe him?
Often as like a wily veteran, despite his age, or an underrated tactician.
Ah, okay.
One former player apparently called him underappreciated. Winning this would be massive for his reputation. really define his time at Inter.
Seems more emotional, too. Sources mention a connection with the club.
Yeah, they highlight that connection, his bond with the players. There was even mention of him being moved by messages from his family before the final.
And they're head-to-head in the Champions League. The stats.
It's actually quite close. Sources say both have coached 32 games in the competition. Enrique has 20 wins, Inzaghi has 17.
So pretty comparable records there.
But the way they approach the game,
yeah,
that's where the contrast really shows up.
Right. PSG's style. Sources paint a clear picture. Attacking, possession-based.
Oh, the stats are overwhelming. The sources list them. First in goals, shots. Shots on target in the Champions League this season.
Wow.
Most chances created in Europe after Barca and Bayern. Most touches in the opposition box after Man City. It screams attack, attack, attack.
And tactically, how does that look?
Heavy possession, controlling the tempo. Sources mention stretching teams wide using positional rotations.
They mention Dembélé sometimes as a false nine.
Yeah, dropping deep to link play, pull defenders out. Using width through players like Kvaratskhelia and Desiree Doué, plus those attacking fullbacks, Hakimi and Nuno Mendes. They want to overload you out wide.
Strong in transition, too. Quick passing.
Definitely. But one weakness noted in the sources, set pieces defensively.
Ah, okay. But they score from them.
Apparently, yes. Well-drilled routines.
Yeah.
But their main strength is undoubtedly that attack.
Okay, now flip it. Inter Milan. Defensive solidity, counterattack.
That's the blueprint. Sources talk about tactical pragmatism, compactness. They like to build slower, keep the ball maybe in their own half, then bang, rapid transition.
How do they set up?
Usually a 3-5-2, but the sources stress how quickly that becomes a 5-3-2 or even a 5-4-1 when they don't have the ball.
Super disciplined backline then, mentioning players like DeMarco, Dumfries, Bastoni, Acerbi.
Incredibly disciplined. Very, very hard to play through centrally.
And they thrive against a high line, which PSG might offer.
Exactly, that's where the counter hits. Speed from guys like Dumfries, quick link up with Lautaro Martinez and Marcus Thuram up front. Lethal if you give them space.
And their set pieces. Underrated threat.
Yeah, sources highlight this. They're a physical side, lots of height, good headers of the ball like Bastoni, Bisek, Acerbi, Barella, Lautaro, Thuram, Dumfries. Dangerous from corners and free kicks.
So their strength is definitely that defense in the counter.
No question.
So you get this perfect clash of ideologies, as the sources put it. PSG probing, trying to break down Inter's compact shape.
Right. It could become a real midfield battle, probably deep in Inter's half, with PSG trying to find that killer pass.
Which leads us to the key individuals, the players who'll decide these battles.
Yeah, lots of quality on show.
Let's start up front. Lautaro Martinez for Inter. Ousmane Dembélé for PSG.
Okay, Lautaro. He's been on fire in the knockouts, scoring in the round of 16, quarters, and semis.
Incredible consistency.
And the sources point out he's chasing history trying to join a tiny group who've scored in all 4 knockout rounds, plus the final in one season.
Wow. Has anyone done that recently?
It's a very elite list. He's on 9 goals in Europe this season. Could be the first Inter player ever to hit 10. Plus, World Cup winner, captain. Huge play for them.
And Dembélé, his season sounds unreal too.
Just phenomenal. Sources say directly involved in 12 Champions League goals, 8 goals, 4 assists.
That's the most ever for a PSG player in one season.
Yep. And another stat mentioned created the most chances by a French player in the competition since 2003-04. He's been immense.
Okay, moving wider. That Hakimi versus Dumfries matchup looks tasty.
Oh yeah. Hakimi for PSG, seen as one of the world's best right backs. Sources note he's created the most chances ever by an African player in the competition, 34.
And Dumfries for Inter. He was the hero against Barca in the semis, wasn't he?
Absolutely pivotal. 2 goals and an assist. The sources compare them statistically, too.
What did they say?
Hakimi gets more interceptions per 90, but Dumfries is way more dominant in the air.
And Hakimi apparently said playing wingback in a 3-5-2 is easier. That's interesting.
It is. And we also have to remember those other PSG wide threats mentioned, Kvaratskhelia and Desiree Doué, stretching that Inter defense.
Right. Then the keepers, Sommer for Inter, Donnarumma for PSG.
2 guys who have had ups and downs, but are definitely world-class now.
Sommer's stats sound amazing, that goals prevented number.
Yeah, the expected goals on target, XGOT. Sources say he's prevented almost 6 goals more than expected, plus 5.9 per 90. That's just elite shot stopping.
Incredible. And Donnarumma, the penalty king.
His record is nuts. Won 6 out of 7 shootouts for club and country. Remember the Euro 2020 final?
Of course. But Sommer was a hero in that tournament too, wasn't he?
Yeah. Saved Mbappe's kick in the shootout against France. So if this goes to penalties, which the Opta prediction gives a decent chance of,
It could come down to these two.
Absolutely.
Any other key players highlighted?
Sources mention Inter's experienced midfield Barella, Mkhitaryan, Çalhanoğlu, contrasted with PSG's younger engine room like Vitinha, João Neves, Fabián Ruiz.
And Benjamin Pavard for Inter. Fit again.
Yeah, noted as fit and important. Could start if he's 100%. Missed some time recently.
Okay, let's pull back and look at the bigger picture stats and predictions.
Right. So as we said, PSG dominates attack stats, goals, shots, XG. Inter leads defensively, fewest goals conceded, lower XG allowed per shot. They make you take tough chances.
And that stat about Inter rarely trailing, that's wild.
Isn't it? Only trailed for 1.2% of the time in the Champions League this season. Never for more than about 6 minutes in any game. They just don't go behind.
So the Opta supercomputer crunched these numbers. What did it say?
It leans towards PSG, yeah. Gives them a 56.6% chance of winning in 90 minutes, compared to 29% for Inter. But crucially, a 26.4% chance of extra time or penalties. So almost a 1 in 4 chance it goes the distance.
But interestingly, some human predictions in the sources actually picked Inter.
Yeah, saw a couple predicting Inter wins, like 2-0 or 1-0.
Despite the stats favoring PSG's attack.
Yeah, and the reasoning given often comes back to Inter's experience, that potential edge on set pieces, winning aerial battles, their ability to be clinical even with less ball, and their old saying, defense wins trophies.
Which brings us to the mind games, the pressure.
Huge factor. For PSG, sources talk about that weight of expectation, being favorites, never having won it.
And Inter. What's the feeling from their camp, according to the interviews?
Sound like they're very focused, very motivated, talking about earning respect, having confidence from their tough run.
Learning from last year's final loss.
Exactly. Needing to nail the details this time. Respecting PSG, but not fearing them. Dreaming of this moment.
Lautaro as captain sounds particularly driven.
Yeah, quotes mention him talking about needing a perfect performance, putting up a wall against PSG's attack, and that real emotional connection, wanting to win for the fans, the club, saying they treated him like he was born here.
Powerful stuff. And Inzaghi
echoes that confidence. Sources quote him saying they need determination, not obsession. Keep cool heads, play freely. He sees it as a massive opportunity for his era at Inter.
And that age difference in the squads. Inter, generally older, more experienced than PSG's younger group, that could matter on the night.
Could be crucial, yeah. Handling the pressure cooker atmosphere of a final. Experience often helps there.
Okay, last bit then. For everyone wanting to watch this unfold, the practical info.
Right, how to tune in.
If you're listening in the US, sources say CBS and Paramount Plus have got it covered.
And other streamers carrying CBS, like Hulu, Plus Live TV, YouTube TV, Fubo.
There was also mention in one source about potentially using a VPN.
Yeah, suggesting something like ExpressVPN to watch for free via Discovery Plus in the UK. Set location to UK, register for a free account. That was one tip mentioned.
And for listeners in India,
Sony Live app for streaming, TV broadcast on Sony Sports 3 and 4, with regional language options too. Hindi, Tamil, Telugu.
And other broadcasters mentioned. B9 Sports in various regions, Sky in Italy, Canal Plus, and M6 in France, TUDN in the US.
So plenty of ways to watch around the world.
Okay, so we've gone through it all. The sources paint this incredible picture. History in Munich, the tough journeys.
The manager clash. Enrique versus Inzaghi. That stark tactical battle, PSG's attack versus Inter's defense.
Key player matchups like Lautaro versus Dembele, Hakimi versus Dumfries, the keepers.
The stats telling one story, but experience and mentality perhaps suggesting another?
It really boils down to this, doesn't it? PSG's explosive, stat-heavy attack, chasing that historic first title, and maybe a trouble.
Against Inter's super disciplined, pragmatic, experienced defense looking for redemption and their 4th European Cup.
Can PSG finally break through that wall? Or will Inter's know-how, their efficiency, maybe even that Munich omen, see them edge it?
Will it be the flair players or the defensive warriors who come out on top? Set pieces, goalkeeper, heroics. So many potential deciders.
It's set up perfectly.
Yeah.
So our final thought for you. Tune in this Saturday. Use those viewing options we discussed. See for yourself if Inter's wall can withstand PSG's firepower, or if the Nursery find a way to prove the stats wrong and claim the crown.